Did you know that we use intervals as a way to describe parts of music, both on your keyboard as well as sheet music? For example, it's a lot faster to say, it's a fourth, than to describe the individual notes. And that means you get more time to do the fun part, which is playing piano. In this video, I'm going to be sharing you how to name and find fourth and fifth intervals on your piano. Plus, I'm going to explain how they're related to musical chords. If we haven't met before, I'm Rosemarie Penner, online piano teacher and composer at Must Love Music. Now in my studio, we love to make music, and I'm going to guess it's the same for you because, well, you clicked on this video. Now, part of music is communicating with other musicians, and historically, piano players, we have been horrible about this because we tend to play piano, well, a lot of the time just ourselves. But when we play piano with others, when we learn simple key musical terms while actually playing the piano, and we do it in an interactive and fun way, it means you make quicker progress, and it means that you can play with other people. It really opens up a world for you. So what are fourth intervals? Well, here's a few examples. We can definitely play a lot of them on the piano, which is kind of cool. But unlike second and third intervals, these ones don't have a major and minor component, at least at this beginner level. In fact, what we call them is a perfect fourth. So if somebody is asking you what you're playing, you could actually say, I'm playing a perfect fourth or a fourth. Usually people will understand what you mean when you say that. So these are very closely related to chords, specifically when we use chord inversions. And if you haven't watched that, make sure that you watch the video above. We can hear this interval at the beginning of two pretty famous songs. So Amazing Grace, or Here Comes the Bride. So right at the beginning of both of those, we had a perfect fourth interval, but we also hear it in a pretty sneaky way. So fourth intervals on the piano, we can find them two ways. Now, I'm not going to do half steps and whole steps. We're getting into intervals that are a little bit too big, and that's why we have these interval names. If you have something like gems or blocks or something that you can use on your piano, anything that's not going to fall between the keys, this could be a really great option. So let's pretend that we have, I'm going to start on G today. Here you go. If I go right in between these top two notes, move this up, we have a fourth interval. So from, try that out, G, C, and you can also play these at the same time. Now for fun, you could use what you know about major scales, and I'm going to link in the description as well as above for that video. You could play this from the bottom of your piano to the top. In fact, how many perfect fourths do you get before you repeat? If you want to figure this out on your own, pause right now. Otherwise, we'll do a quick exercise right now and we'll see. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and now we're back to our G and C. So yeah, you could be able to play 12 perfect fourths on your piano if you wanted to test this out and kind of take what you learned about your major scales and combine it with this. So that's kind of a fun way of doing it. There is a sneaky way that we do fourth intervals. So let's go back to that G major. Okay, so we've got our G major chord right here. And we did a video on chord inversions. Again, link in the description. We'll also make sure that it's up here. So what if you take the bottom note, so this is a chord inversion, we go from our root position, we take our bottom note and we move it up one octave. And suddenly we're in what's called first inversion. But I want you to take a look at this. Do you see a fourth interval? Well, this one's not a fourth interval, but notice D to G, 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got a perfect fourth right here. So this is a sneaky way that we hear them, but it doesn't end there. Let's go into a second inversion. So we're going to take our bottom note, go up an octave, and you'll notice now that fourth interval is at the bottom of our chord inversion. So this is really, really cool. I would highly recommend, try it out. So you could, do a C major chord again. Fourth interval is at the top for first inversion. Go up at the bottom now for second inversion. You can do this anywhere on the piano. You can do this anywhere, any key that you want to start on. How could we improvise with fourth intervals? So as I'd mentioned, because these are so closely related to chords, we can do a combination of melodic or melody, so we're playing one note at a time, as well as harmonic, so two or more notes played at the same time. That would be our chords, and using it in rhythm. So for example, I'm going to play nice and high today. So what if I start on G and I do some fourth intervals? You'll notice that I did a combination of melodic. I repeated some notes right there, and I did some harmonic, meaning I played two notes at the same time, but they were all fourth intervals apart. I would highly recommend pause the video and then make sure that you try this out on your own. That's the best part about piano lessons or doing a piano video, is you get to try it out immediately. And keep in mind, it may end up feeling a little unfinished, your mini song, and that's okay. Now I am curious, which way do you prefer to find your fourth intervals? Do you prefer using that root position and you're just moving one over, like you're playing in between your two top notes, or that chord inversion way that I showed you? Let me know in the comments. What is a fifth interval? Well, just like our perfect fourth, this is also another interval at this level that doesn't use major or minor. It's considered perfect just the way that it is. And we would often call it a perfect fifth or a fifth for short. We already saw this when we were creating chords way back, right? If we did a root position chord, the outside notes were a perfect fifth apart. I just didn't tell you about it, but you've already been playing them, so that's really cool. As long as you've been going through the series, you've already played them. So we hear this at the beginning of Bad Romance by Lady Gaga. If you watched the video on the seconds and thirds, did you catch that there was a minor third at the end there? Anyways, fun little fact there. Another one is Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. So that first interval. Fun little fact here. Mozart wrote 12 variations on this folk song, and we're not actually sure who wrote the original melody. There's some guesses, but nobody actually knows for sure. So going back to our piano, we can do this based on the chord and root position. So I'd mentioned this earlier. And so if I grab my lovely little gems here, so we're going to do this one on A. So let's find A, 3 black keys, just below the top two. Our A, we'll go A major chord here. So if we just remove the middle note, that is a fifth interval. So any chord in root position, a C major chord, let's play it low. You could just play the outside notes, and so then it's a fifth apart. Now for fun, what you could do is use what you know about major scales. So go ahead and see the video if you haven't watched it before. It's in the description and I will try and link it above. But you could try to play fifth intervals from the bottom of the piano to the top. So just like we did with our fourth intervals. And you know what? If you want to try this out on your own, pause the video, try it out, come back. If not, let's do this together. So how many perfect fifths can we get before we repeat? So we're going to start on A. Now, fun fact, you're getting a lot of fun facts on this one, eh? Bottom key, when you've got 88 keys, the bottom key is A. So we're going to play. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and if our piano still went, we would be able to play the repeat, right? We would then be starting on A again. But because the fifth interval is larger, we can't actually do it because we've run out of space, which is kind of wild when you think about the fact that there's 88 keys and we managed to run out of space. Let's do an accompaniment pattern. We're going to do what's called rocking fifths, or I call them rocking fifths. So we're going to start off on A again. We're going to, here's my middle C. So I'm a little bit lower this time. And our chord progression, we're just going to play the outside of the chord. We're going to rock the fifth. So A, now F sharp. For that one, imagine our 3 black keys. You're going to play the bottom note of it, and then your top note of that rock, of the rocking, is the bottom of our 2 black keys. We're going to go down to D, so in between our 2 black keys, and then E, so just step up, and end on A. So let's do this together. A, F sharp, D, and E, and A, and end. Excellent. So you'll notice I was rocking my wrist. This gives a really relaxed hand position, and it's fabulous for making sure that you can play for longer without injuring yourself. Okay, so we've got our chord progression. If you need to pause so that you can practice just that, go for it. If you're ready to improvise, let's do that. So we've got our rocking pattern in the left hand, and we're going to add a melody, and we're going to use A, B, C sharp, D, E. So we're keeping this in a major key. If you want to go wild, just change that C sharp to a C, and then you've got a minor. Okay, and again, just like perfect fourths, do a combination of just single notes, or if you also feel comfortable with it, harmonic, so you're playing more than one note at the same time. So here's an example. And you notice I messed up on my pattern a little bit, but you know what, that's okay. We're improvising. It's totally fine. I'm curious. One, make sure that you test this out, improvise it, but do you like this rocking fifth pattern? Do you like being able to create a song using it? Let me know. It's really fun to play, hey? What are fourth and fifth intervals? Well, first of all, intervals are just describing how far apart notes are. Fourth intervals, also called perfect fourths, they are most closely related to chord inversions. Fifth intervals, often called perfect fifths, they relate to root position or home chords the most closely. Now, these are so much fun to use and create your own mini songs, just like we did in this lesson. To jumpstart your piano playing, be sure to check the description for a link to sign up for piano lessons that are fun, easy, and interactive. Let me know, do you have questions about fourth or fifth intervals? Or what was your favorite way to play each of those intervals? I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.